My names are Bernard Njue from KCCMB, CJPC, Meru. Group 1 were to discuss reconciling and restoring Kenya. No, Group 1 was to discuss the CDC's reports. And this is what they felt was left after we analyzed and scrutinized the CDC's reports. The first question was, first of all, to understand whether the report presents a fair summary of the proceedings of the CDCs, and which the group felt the answer was yes. And then question 2, we were to answer if any information was lacking that needed to be included. We'll go to number A of the report, which was a reconciliation, healing, and national cohesion. And the group pointed that under historical injustices and healing with the past, the following things may have been left out. One, I think there needed to be a focus on the restorative justice. Then they needed to include all operations from top to bottom, and then also popularize the implementation of the national values under Article 10. They also felt there was weak peace building and conflict management, and their feeling was it was important to engage women, youth, and perhaps also children of variable age. Also to apply the community-led initiatives. Under service delivery in harmony and economy, under Bulletin 5 on economic recovery, relief, and reconstruction, they felt under number 5, that is Roman 5, that audit needed to be included also on resources. Bulletin A on combating corruption, they felt that the 5 major laws or the 5 major statutes that are actually been put to curtail on corruption and corrupt individuals needed to be amended for the fact that I think the punishment that has been availed in these acts is very feeble, is very weak. And that has led to a lot of contestation in court whenever graft individuals are charged. Then there was also need to restructure requirements of elective posts, also to abide to the same. And I think this is to do with the election funding. Then F was on credible, free, and fair elections. And to be able to do this, the group thought gender balance needed to begin from party primaries. Then there was also the need to have a thorough vetting process for candidates who vie in elections. I think these laws still exist. Then there was constitutional, legal, and institutional reforms under G. And the group felt that there should be 2 commissions conducting civic education. The feeling was, I think we need to separate Civic Education Commission from ethics. That ethics need to stand alone and be affected separately from civic education implementation. Then other county-specific issues that arose under Bulletin 15, the family, drug abuse, and mental health, I think they felt there was an omission on concerns of NHIF from the public, the environmental issue as well on the public, and agriculture, and that for the purposes of food security. Then we went ahead to the recommendations. Under reconciliation, healing, and national cohesion, the recommendations from the group were to implement all cohesion reports and not alone the TJRC. So the assumption was once the TJRCA is formed, then it would undertake to implement most cohesion reports that are being deduced. Then that the religious leaders to be more involved in that process. Under 1.5, the independence of the media was also proposed to be impartial, and more so to observe the principle of rights and responsibilities, that the media need, as much as is their right, then this request that they also need to undertake an equal responsibility in course of their duty and functions. Then there was the need for civic education implementation to be conducted immediately. Then, of course, there was competence of land boards that are seen in most cases to be engaged in land matters. Of course, that's where most of the conflicts happen to elicit. And therefore, the land boards needed to be trained to be competent with this noble role. The inter-county activities should be specific, that are now specific to youth, need also to be spread to be a cross-cutting issue, that is to spread across all genders. Then under service delivery and economy, the recommendation was that the national and county governments need to publish service charters. I think that's already available. And the matter of cancer being declared a national disaster. Then there was combating corruption, and what the CDC's reports recommends was unanimously approved. Under security sector reforms, the additional recommendations from the group was community institutions to be involved instead of elders alone. Also to include preventive mechanism, like it was suggested in the community-led initiatives. Then there was, under strengthening devolution, the additional recommendation was to have the county government implement fully Section 100 of the County Government Act. There are counties that are ahead in ensuring this act has been implemented. However, the shortcomings is that once this office is also established, then the functions become dormant. So I think this one requires, vigorous implementation oversight. Then ensuring and holding credible and free and fair elections in a peaceful and secure environment. The group did note that actually the recommendations from the CDCs did not have an action plan, and therefore generally revoked the entire part of the recommendations, with the suggestion that they need to relook again into the recommendations and then come up with the action plans. Then constitutional, legal, and institutional reforms. There was an omission. I think this talked about the IAG, ensuring that the matters of extrajudicial killings were observed, and the group's observation was that it wasn't important to leave the IPOA, that is IPOA, and therefore sought inclusion of the same. Other county-specific issues was to include all gender and age. I think that was what was much discussed. Those are the additions from this group. And their feeling was the analysis entirely were appropriately included, and they felt that indeed this is what was deduced from the communities, from the societies that resided in the 44 counties that the CDCs were able to be conducted. Thank you.